What? It's Jason Howell.
Whoosh. Hello.
I liked your
How's it
finger
going?
reveal.
Yeah. I came up with that. We got to build that as like a legit transition
You should
finger
patent that.
reveal.
Yeah. A method for providing a finger reveal.
Stranger things have happened, Tom.
Yeah, they sure have. Oh,
Yeah, it's
right.
good to be here.
Good to have you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the invite.
Did you want to be in the chat room?
Oh, I can do that for sure. Let's see here.
I
Well,
forgot to
well,
mention it.
yeah, what is the
irc.chatroom.net.
Okay, let me see here.
If you go into the chat room, Zoe brings bacon. We'll give you bacon and coffee.
Got the bacon. I'm sorry.
Yeah. They're
I'm sorry.
internet relay bacon and coffee, but they're still delicious.
If it's bacon, I'm in.
If my bacon is a bacon, where's my coffee?
irc.chatrealm.net.
Yeah, there's no E at the end of realm.
Yeah.
It's not realmy.
No, I might not be able to get in. My X chat is being strange.
Oh, you can do it on the web too.
Yeah, sure. Let's see here. Let's try this.
Make it a double-double. I held off getting in and out yesterday because my sister's coming into town tomorrow, and she always wants to get in and out when she comes into town.
You knew you were going to be doing it anyways. I've been having a hard time with in and out lately for some reason.
Really? What do you mean? A hard time?
I don't know. It's just kind of been grossing me out. The burgers have been grossing me out. Yeah, and it's me. It's not them. It's me.
Is it the Santa Rosa one?
No, there's one here in Petaluma.
Oh.
It was one of those situations where a few years ago I happened to get sick at the same time that I had eaten in and out.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you drink tequila and then you throw up on tequila,
yeah,
you don't ever want tequila for a really long time. I think that's kind of what's happened. It's kind of a bummer because I've always really loved in and out, and
yeah,
I have a hard time eating it now.
Well, there's a life lesson, everyone.
Yep, take it from me. Don't get sick while eating.
Never get sick.
Never. Okay, I think I am joined. But what is the room?
It's chat. #chat. There you are. I see you.
Hey,
all right.
It worked.
Let's get this party started, shall we?
Good.
Here we go.
Quality content thrives through the support of those who benefit from its creation. If you gain value from the Daily Tech News Show, consider joining others like me who provide support. Learn how to help at dailytechnewsshow.com/support.
This is the Daily Tech News for Tuesday, July 25th, 2017. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me today, my old buddy Jason Howell. We go way back to the Buzz Out Loud days, the Tech News Today days. He hosts the All About Android show and Tech News Today. How's it going, buddy?
It's going great. I'm sorry. I was headbanging to your intro music. Every time I hear it, it just makes me want to like thrash and get in the pit and stuff.
And you know music, so.
I mean, I know that I enjoy listening to music. Yeah. And occasionally making it, and occasionally headbanging and thrashing to it.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, we're going to talk about a new terminal in the Singapore airport that is using some biometrics, so you'll never have to talk to another person if you don't want to.
I'm not sure I'm signing up for that, to be honest.
Well, we'll find out. As wonderful as that sounds to me, from check-in to boarding without having to speak.
Yes.
Unless I want to. There are some concerns, but let's start with a few tech things you should know. Google's new feature called SOS Alerts will display authoritative local information, emergency hotlines, notifications for users close to affected areas during a crisis, whether it's a natural disaster or something else. Maps will show cards with helpful info and reflect road closures and traffic congestion. Google is partnering with crisis agencies like the Red Cross and FEMA in the United States to make this happen. Like Facebook has been doing this. Google has a couple other efforts like it, just trying to help people keep in touch in times of need.
Yeah, I mean, Facebook has, what is it, safety check, and that goes a little bit further than this particular thing of like connecting people during time of crisis. But Google actually has, like you were saying, a portfolio of tools around this. They've got public alerts, they've got crisis response, which I think both of those are kind of maps layers more than anything, but also person finder, which is maybe more kind of more in the same direction as safety check. So, I mean, the more the merrier. Google's in the right place to provide really important information around this stuff.
After reports that Microsoft Paint had been listed as deprecated in the next update to Windows 10, Microsoft's Megan Saunders posted that Paint will remain available in the Windows Store as a standalone download. Now, everybody's yesterday it was Paint's dead. And on the show, I was like, Paint's not dead. It's just deprecated. It means they're not going to update it anymore. Today, Paint has been saved. Paint hasn't been saved. They're still not going to update it anymore. And frankly, if you already have Paint, and you update Windows 10, it's not going away.
Right.
If you were putting a fresh install, you wouldn't get Paint, and you could go to the Windows Store and get it. But kind of a smart move on Microsoft's part, I guess.
Well, how could you get rid of such a storied piece of history anyways? Although at the same time, now I can get back to never using it anymore. You know, like I don't know the last time I ever used it, but I was still saddened when I saw those headlines that said it might be going away.
It is a part of history.
You know, it's part of my heart.
And it still is a part of history. They're not going to be updating it. Just
I don't know. Microsoft might erase that history. You never know what happens if they decide to get rid of MS Paint.
While Paint gets a little bit of attention, Adobe announced it will stop updating and distributing the Flash player. Really? Tomorrow? Today? Next year? At the end of 2020.
Okay.
We still have 3 more years of it. Microsoft, Google, Mozilla, and Apple all are in various stages of reducing support for Flash in their various browsers, and all say that they are on board for the 2020 end date, and they'll all stop supporting it in 2020 as well. Most of the browsers don't support it directly by default anyway. You have to click to approve it and stuff like that.
Yeah, 25 years in existence. Do you think when all's said and done, the dust settles, Flash should be open source so that like all that history, speaking of web history, continues to live on, or do we just cut the cord and move on entirely?
I mean, there have been open source alternatives to Flash all along, so it would take Adobe in 2020 saying, "Here you go, it's open source." I think Adobe is really just like, "Please stop using it.
Yeah, let's move on.
Here. Let's just end it now." It's an interesting thought, though. Colin Angle, CEO of iRobot, they're the makers of the Roomba robotic vacuum cleaner, told Reuters that his company wants to sell mapping data created by Roombas to third parties like Amazon, Google, and Apple. Starting in 2015, Roomba began using a camera and some other sensors to make a map of its surroundings. Before, it just kind of went on an algorithm. Now it actually maps so it knows where it left off when it goes back to recharge itself and come back, all of that sort of thing. The data could be very helpful. Let's say you have other smart home devices. That map could help them understand the layout and maybe provide better positioning for themselves or understanding of what's going on in the house. Also, companies could market these devices to you better if they're like, oh, well, you have this size of a house, you only need this many of this, or this is the kind of thing that would work. iRobot said it would not sell any map data. It won't even store your Roomba map data without your permission, but that didn't stop people from freaking out anyway.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, the opt-in sort of aspect puts the control in the hands of the people who are actually going to have this. Then, you know, iRobot's big job is convincing their users of the benefits of actually using it. And even just hearing what we've heard about this, I still kind of have a hard time understanding exactly how that ends up being beneficial in like an IoT setup in the house. But hey, I guess it's on iRobot to convince us why.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the one thing that immediately popped to my mind was those mesh network routers, right? So the Eeros of the world, or the Google Home, the Google Wi-Fi, where it could say, "Oh, we have a map from Roomba that you shared with us, so we recommend putting your devices here, and here for the best coverage."
Yeah,
right.
Okay.
Something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
Motorola announced a new 5.5-inch Z2 Force edition of its Z phones, or Z phones, depending on where you are. Comes with dual rear cameras, 2 12-megapixel sensors, 1 monochrome, 1 color, Snapdragon 835 chipset, 4 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of storage, and a 2,730 milliamp hour battery. which is actually a little smaller than the Z2 Touch. It still has the shatter-resistant display. I'm sorry, the Z2 Play. Still has a shatter-resistant display. That's the big thing with the Force edition. Comes to AT&T, Sprint, T-Mobile, US Cellular, and Verizon starting August 10th. Last time around, the Force was only available on Verizon. Costs between $730 and $810, depending on which carrier you get it from. And like all the Z2 models, the Force can wield Jedi powers. No, actually, the Force can use Moto mods. And they even announced a new mod. 360-degree camera mod goes on sale August 10th as well for $300. It has a 150-degree wide viewing angle and shoots in 4K.
Okay, I want to see the video coming from that 360-degree camera. I saw some video coming from the Essential one, which is a lot smaller, by the way. In this regard, the attachment is like a full like phone body size case with the 360-degree camera mounted on top. So it's definitely a larger snap-on thing. But the video I saw from the Essential 360 camera left a lot to be desired. It's like, yeah, you can, but it doesn't look very well. So I'm curious to see how it will look on this.
Well, the Z2 Force Edition also has another advantage over the Essential phone in that it has a shipping date.
I know, right? We actually know that it exists and that it will come out sometime soon.
Yeah, this whole Z Moto mod universe is intriguing to me. It's not intriguing to me enough to drop $800 on it necessarily. I'd like the prices to come down on this stuff, especially when you can get a Galaxy S8 on sale for a little cheaper than this.
Yeah.
But those mods, I mean, I was a handspring visor user way back in the day. So the idea of popping mods in the top of your device is kind of always intrigued me. Never works out as well in practice, though.
Yeah, totally. And it seems like Motorola, and I think Essential has plans to do this too, as far as they're treating their kind of modular aspect. They're really trying to go in the direction that a lot of these things will go from device to device to device. Maybe that makes it an improvement, but I think it really remains to be seen whether consumers are super into the modular aspect or whether it's just kind of like a cute little addition.
And Moto Z2, I mean, we didn't mention it. The Z2 Force Edition comes with Android 7.1 Nougat and it will promises to bring you Android O as soon as it comes out, which we just got a beta of Android O. So
yeah, release candidate.
I'm waiting for the release date of that.
Yeah, I think end of summer is what we're kind of seeing at this point. This was the last version. Probably sometime in the next month or two, we're going to see it.
Android Oreo, right?
I tend to side with something along the orange realm. I actually wouldn't be surprised. I've been placing my bet specifically on just orange, but a lot of people think I'm wrong. So we'll see what happens.
Orange slices.
Yeah.
I have a feeling they're in deep negotiations with Nabisco right now, and that's why
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
U.S. Representative Greg Walden, leader of the House Energy and Commerce Committee, has invited CEOs of technology companies to testify on September 7th regarding net neutrality, because nobody's tired of talking about net neutrality at this point. But we'll see if he gets all these people. Invitees include Larry Page, CEO of Alphabet, aka Google, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg, AT&T CEO Randall Stevenson, Comcast CEO Brian Roberts, and the leaders of Amazon, Netflix, Charter, and Verizon. So Bezos got an invite as well. In a letter to the CEOs, Walden wrote that this is, quote, an opportunity to rethink the current regulatory model and build new rules from the ground up. And, there's already Democrats saying, yeah, but the problem is, and that has been the problem all along, is that every time one party's in power, the other party doesn't want to talk because they don't like what the other party's going to push for. But in our History of Net Neutrality episode last week, I made the point that this swinging back and forth of changing the rules every time another party is in power is causing way more instability than either side as accusations of the other side's rules actually are. And we need this legislation from the ground up.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm cautiously optimistic right now that the support on the congressional level is going to result in something that makes everybody happy. Probably not going to happen at the end of the day, but like you said, it's been a total ping pong match at this point. It's all over the map, and really, I think we need something solidified so that companies, people understand what they're getting when they go online. It needs to happen.
both companies like Facebook and Google and companies like AT&T and Comcast
Yeah.
have started to get tired of this back and forth as well.
Oh, for sure.
And I think that's why I mean, God bless Greg Walden, Godspeed. I hope you can actually get productive debate started, but we'll see. But this is how you would do it. You get both sides to sit down and go, here are the things we agree on. Let's start there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, cautiously optimistic. I hope
The
so.
Hindustan Times reports India's Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari said, "We won't allow driverless cars in India. I'm very clear on this. In a country where you have unemployment, you can't have a technology that ends up taking people's jobs." He did admit that years down the line, they might not be able to ignore it. But Mr. Gadkari said right now, India needs to recruit 22,000 commercial drivers and open 100 training facilities. He's not the last word on this. There is an opposite party in India, and there is legislation to legalize autonomous cars testing on roads in India in Congress there. But it is an unusual position, because one of the few things that both parties seem to agree on in the United States is that, yes, we should proceed with autonomous car testing.
Yeah, and I had never really kind of thought about this aspect though. Autonomous car testing in the U.S. versus autonomous car testing in a country like India, where I've never been to India, but when I look at the road conditions and like the massive amounts of unpredictable traffic patterns, I mean they seem to do okay operating in that chaos, but I would be a complete fish out of water. I can't imagine how easy or how difficult that's going to be for them to create systems that support all of that. That chaos, that seeming chaos.
Yeah, and granted, in some respects, you could say this of many countries, but if an autonomous car can figure out how to drive in that traffic, it can figure out how to drive anywhere, right?
That's true. Yeah,
this
think so.
Could be the best possible place to test autonomous cars in some respects. It doesn't have the winters there in most places. There's a few places that do, so you could get that part of it too. I think Mr. Gadkari probably doesn't lose anything by making this statement. He is appealing to a segment of the population that fears losing their jobs, and drivers are a large portion of the workforce out there. There's no disputing that. So there is a real threat of reduction of that workforce. Whether those people can be transitioned into new jobs that are created as a result of this is always the big question. That's what I would like to see politicians talking about is, hey, you know what? Autonomous cars are going to provide lots of benefits. They're going to make it easier for everyone to get around. Let's make sure they're affordable, that people can access them. And let's make sure that people who don't find new jobs because they've lost them to this have a transition plan. That's what I want to hear people talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose in the meantime, this whole challenge around the infrastructure kind of, appeases is helpful for preventing the unemployment threat, at least for now.
Hey, folks, if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in just about 5 minutes, subscribe to dailytechheadlines.com. It's the quick, easy way to stay up to date on everything we talk about on the show. It's available as a podcast, as an Amazon Echo flash briefing, and in the Anchor app, which you can download in the App Store, ANCHOR, or find it all at dailytechheadlines.com. And that is a look at our top stories. Okay, folks, a new terminal opening this year at Singapore's Changi Airport will make it possible for passengers to check in and board flights without talking to anybody. Mm-hmm. The airport will use facial recognition. At least that's what the Reuters says. I think it's iris scanning, but it might be facial recognition. Anyway, Reuters says facial recognition at check-in, bag drop, immigration, and boarding in Terminal T4. That's the brand new terminal. Singapore, oddly, given our last story, does not have enough labor to fill jobs. So the automation is necessary there. They want to have a 20% reduction in manpower. They want to increase capacity. They think that this new terminal is going to be able to increase capacity by 16 million. So if you're flying Air Asia Group Airlines or Cathay Pacific, Cebu Pacific, Korean Air, Spring Airlines, or Vietnam Airlines, they will all be located in this terminal. And theoretically, you're going to be able to just walk in, and if you've, opted into the system and given them your credentials previously, just go to a kiosk, scan, check in, even board. Crazy, huh?
Yeah, that's really nuts. So the T4, which is the new terminal that's going to be implementing this, I guess apparently it was built at least on a partial level to be a place to test new technologies, new concepts like this. So that was the intention all along, was to try things like this that just seems so out there. And like you kind of mentioned as we were kind of preparing for the show, the security implications. When I think airport and I think security, I don't think self-serve. I guess is what it boils down to. And I have to imagine that there's a lot of ways, at least in my tinfoil hat wearing sort of side of my brain, a lot of ways that could be manipulated.
Yeah, well, and it's becoming a trend. We had the story a while back of Delta Airlines testing fingerprint as your boarding pass in Arlington, Virginia, or actually in National Airport, Reagan National Airport, which is on the Virginia side of DC. But there, if you're a member of Clear, which you have to pay to be a member of, you can use your fingerprint that's stored with Clear to board the Delta plane. So you don't have to show a pass. You still probably have to say hi to a person. There's going to be a person there watching, but that's how you're able to board. And they want to roll that out to more airports. There's also 6 Major League Baseball teams partnering with Clear on a free version of their service. So you don't have to pay to be a Clear member for the airport stuff, but if you go and register with Clear, you can then skip the line at the ballpark to get in. So you don't have to wait in that big, long security line to get into the ballpark to see your team play. But again, it's using fingerprints. And there's a company called Tassent in Los Gatos that's been testing iris recognition in airports in London and Dubai. That's why I kind of think, because they also did the passport office in Singapore, and I kind of think maybe they're doing the iris recognition in Terminal T4 there. But anyway, we're getting a trend here, especially in airports, of biometrics being used. And I want to walk this line very carefully, because I don't think it scares me, but what scares me is that the past practices of companies have not been to properly secure things. And if my fingerprint gets compromised, I can't get a new finger.
Yeah.
I guess I have 10 of them, but my iris I only got 2 of. So
you got 10 backup passwords right here, and once you're done, then you got to go to your toes, and that's just gonna be weird.
Yeah.
I mean, fingerprint as like a general purpose currency definitely makes me feel a bit uneasy. I know people have been kind of softened to the idea of fingerprint as biometric for access because we have it on our phone. But it's a little bit different because we've got control of our phone. We're not just going to a public place and doing that. And like you say, suddenly our fingerprint becomes part of this database, which, mind you, our fingerprints are already part of a database somewhere. But entrusting that in the hands of just a general, a company that hey, I happen to be flying your airline, so here, I'll use my fingerprint for access, that just opens it up to a whole other sea of possible hacks, leaks, whatever the case may be. And what I've seen in the last couple of years, as far as this information getting out there, it doesn't make me very optimistic as far as that's concerned, that I would want to do that with the trade-off of convenience. That added convenience. I don't know if it's enough.
Yeah, you remember when Apple came out with Touch ID, they went to great lengths to show how they secured your information so that even they didn't have it. And the only way to spoof Touch ID was to recreate your fingerprint, right? And with anything, there's always going to be an issue of that, right? You'll always be able to recreate something. And yeah, man, if somebody's able to recreate your finger and then go around with a little fake finger on, that creates a whole other situation. That's least likely. I'm less scared of that. That's hard to pull off. It's kind of something you can watch for, and most of us are not going to be the targets of that. But the database, if it's not properly secured, if the password, if the digital information that's storing your fingerprint isn't scrambled enough that someone can reconstruct fingerprints, I mean, that's an issue.
Do you think the general public cares that much about that, though? Like we've proven time and time again that we are willing to put up with a lot if what we get is convenience, on the other end. Do people? I mean, is there a line that's drawn with something like biometrics, or people just don't care? We've already been softened so much to it that it doesn't matter.
Most security decisions, most security assessments by people are not rational, right? Yeah. They don't trust perfectly secure systems on the internet because they've heard the internet's insecure and they can't see how it works, right? Like, well, I'm putting in a password, but where does it go? It's hard for people to understand if they don't study it like we do, if they don't live with it all the time. Whereas fingerprint. Well, I understand that. I am the only one with my fingerprint. I've known that since I was a kid. And look, I put my finger down and it says, yes, it's me. Obviously, that's very secure.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the way most people think about it.
Yeah, yeah. I know, at least on a personal security level, one thing that I've been wanting more and more of are kind of combined biometrics on a device. Like, okay, fingerprint is great, yeah, and okay, sure, you can do iris scanning, but what's really, really secure is if you do fingerprint and iris scanning at the same time. So like, I would be interested in that, but then at the same time, when you compare it to these stories, like on a personal level, that might work, but then you go here where the stakes are so incredibly high when you're talking about these public spaces and just the inherent security risks around these companies and everything like that. I don't know, that just gives them more data points, and it's hard not to put that tinfoil hat on and wonder what happens to that data.
Yeah, I want to know the privacy policy. I want to definitely know the security policy. And man, I wouldn't mind a second factor. Like maybe there's a passcode. Because remember, iris and thumbprint together is stronger, but it's still two things you have. And good two-factor authentication is something you know, something you have. You know, they're different.
Sure.
And so maybe a passphrase or something like that. But anyway, I think this is an emerging trend that now that we're starting to see it. So it's something to pay attention to.
Yeah, and as these services are put up more and more to consumers to take the edge off of things that we want to do, aka fly or go to the stadium or see these teams play, mixed with the things that we don't want to do, wait in line, be miserable or whatever. I mean, we're probably going to end up seeing more and more of this because companies are going to realize people are willing to hand it over. They're willing to do it around convenience.
When I mentioned this story to Eileen, my wife, this morning, we were both like, that sounds amazing. That sounds awesome.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm that easily swayed on this one.
Thanks to everybody who participates in our subreddit. You can submit stories and vote on them and find out all kinds of cool information about what's going on in the world of technology, cool links that Scotty Rowland has been putting in there to other parts of the Daily Tech News Show experience. And it's all at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. And we also have a Facebook group. So check us out on facebook.com/Daily Tech News Show. Messages of the day. Our first one comes from Thor. His name is Thor. I'm sorry.
I know. Hey, I've got a neighbor whose name is Thor. Thor is a name. It's a name with authority.
It is. You can't spell authority without Thor.
Exactly.
Hello from cloudy with a chance of rain and not too hot. 0.2 CERN. I just listened to episode 3079, like watching paint dry, and I wanted to share that I recently implanted a chip in my hand. I got it in late March, so not that long ago. I went to Sweden with 2 friends. We all live in Norway, and after a 7-hour drive, we got the implant. It's an NTAG 216 with 556 bytes of storage, and I can add anything I could with a regular NFC tag, vCard, web link, Wi-Fi password, Bluetooth pairing, etc. I don't think there's a large risk of anyone tracking me with it, since it's hard enough to have it read when I'm intentionally trying to. Due to the size of the antenna and the capsule, it's hard to read on most phones I've tested. So when trying to share my contact info with new people, I've been memorizing the sweet spots of the NFC reader for most popular phones. Also, iPhones have the hardware but won't read NFC tags. That's a rant for another day. So short of having strong NFC readers all over the place so I bump my hand into them, I don't think that it's a good tracker. The Bluetooth on my phone and Xiaomi Mi Band are, though. But I do like it as an authentication factor, since NFC tech is a bit easier to get your hands on than biometric readers, especially for Arduino. Unfortunately, my dorm room door lock doesn't support NTAG 21X, so I can't unlock my door with it. Regards, Thor Christian, dual citizen, American Norwegian, living in Tonsberg, Norway, currently working shifts at CERN in Switzerland, and a shout out to any other DTNS listeners working at CERN this summer.
Wow, just looking at that picture of that chip implanted in the hand just gives me the heebie-jeebies. I just don't know if I can go there. I don't know if I can do the chip in your hand route. I know that you talked about the story yesterday about the company who's kind of allowing their employees.
Surprise, Veronica's on board. She's ready for this.
I know. Yes. No, I'm not surprised about that at all. I can't see myself going there anytime soon. My kids, they might be willing to do this. Me, I just don't think I could do it.
We also got an email from Oleg, who's a postdoc researcher, was listening to yesterday's discussion about Helix, the DNA testing company, and had two thoughts. First, I would be very skeptical about direct-to-consumer DNA testing at this point of development. Yes, we can read the DNA pretty accurately, and Helix uses newer next-gen sequencing technology, but the problem lies with the interpretation of the A's, T's, G's, and C's, the DNA words. In some cases, the same combination of A, T, G, C's can lead to the exact opposite conclusions provided to the patient or customer. One of the reasons this is happening is faulty study design, small sample size, lack of diversity, etc. Even when the science behind the information is sound, it's usually given in a form of probability, and humans are ill-equipped to deal with nuances of uncertainty. There's an article in The Atlantic that articulates these points very well, and he gave us a link that we'll have in the show notes. I'd like to offer an alternative explanation of genotyping versus exome sequencing versus whole genome sequencing as well. So yesterday I did this light metaphor that Veronica found lacking. Here's Oleg's version of this. So I'm explaining to you, Jason, the difference between genotyping, which is what 23andMe does, exome sequencing, which is what Helix does, and whole genome sequencing, which is like what the Human Genome Project did, where it like sequence everything. All right?
Okay. All right.
Ready? See if this works.
I think I'm ready.
Imagine a multicolor striped rope that is 2 feet long. Got it?
All right. Got it.
If we look for a stripe pattern only between 2 feet and 2 inches and 2.5 inches away from the left end, because we know that a stripe pattern in this small region is important, that's genotyping.
Got it.
We know where to look. We just want to see what the pattern is in that place. If we look for a stripe pattern of every other 5 inches of the rope, that would be exome sequencing. Exome is a collection of exons, regions of DNA known to make proteins. Oh, okay. So you're just like, okay, we're going to look into multiple places. And if we look for a stripe pattern along the whole length of the rope, that's whole genome sequencing.
Cool. I feel like I'm a professional now. A professional
genomer. This is a very good analogy, Oleg. Thank you.
I like that
very much. Over the last several years, we have learned that the sequences between the exons are not as junky as we previously thought. They play a structural role, regulate the activity of the genes, and perform numerous other functions, a lot of which are still poorly understood. So this is all good information, and I like that Oleg's not saying Helix is bad. He's like, Helix is fine, but you're probably not. Your understanding of what they can give you is probably a little fuzzy, and that's the problem, is we're not educated enough as consumers to really be able to understand what's being offered.
I know I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? So yeah. They could say, like, a study said, but that doesn't mean what you think it means. Yeah. Finally, Frank from Denmark is on holiday, but still wrote in. Thank you, Frank. I remember hearing on the show that some countries had a plan to make it mandatory for electric cars to emit a sound when driving at low speeds. I feel like we talked about this on Buzz Out Loud.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. I mean, this dates back a long time. I know that we talked about this either on Buzz Out Loud or early days of TNT.
Yeah. Anyway, Frank went to Florence, Italy today, and while walking in the streets, he says, I heard a beep, 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 like a truck backing up. It was an electric car, a taxi actually, or at least a hybrid. I saw or heard more of these, and I don't really know how I feel about that sound, as it confuses my brain a bit. Just an in-the-field report. I also think it's worth mentioning that this week Humble Bundle has a cybersecurity ebook bundle, 14 ebooks for around $15. There are books about social engineering, ethical hacking, malware analysis, and much, much more. Thank you, Frank.
Nice. Yeah, that would throw me off too. If I heard, a vehicle driving down the road, if I didn't see the vehicle and I heard the beeps, I would think that I was about to get like rear-ended by somebody, or somebody backing right into me.
The wrong way.
Yeah, like that is a little strange, but maybe that's the low rent version of making people know that you're driving down the road. I don't know. That's very strange.
Yeah. Well, thanks to everybody for listening and sending in these great emails. We love hearing from you guys. You're the best audience in the world. And thank you, Jason Howell, for joining us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Yeah, no, this is a lot of fun. I love doing shows with you, Tom. It's a lot of course,
twit.tv/TNT, twit.tv/what? AAA for All About Android, is that right?
Yep. Twit.tv/AAA for All About Android, TNT for Tech News Today. And yeah, those are the shows I'm doing here right now. Every once in a while, I'm on new screensavers, and we have a lot of fun with that as well. Got a lot.
Anything else to tell people about?
No, I'm working on. I probably will have. I'm a musician in my off time, in my very off time, and I'm hoping by the end of this summer I'm going to have something to announce around a new Yellow Gold album. I did a Kickstarter on that 4 years ago around Everone. It was pretty successful, and I had a lot of fun with it. I'm probably going to end up doing that again. I'm in the starting phases of figuring out how I'm going to distribute it, but stay tuned because I will definitely have more information in the next month or two.
Awesome. In the meantime, go check out yellowgoldmusic.com, people.
Yes, please do.
All right.
Thank you,
Thanks
Tom.
to everybody who gives a little value back for the value they get from the show, including Derek Lanham, Iqbal Bhatti, Angelique C. Murray, and many, many more at patreon.com/DTNS. And hey, if you watch the show on diamondclub.tv, or even if you don't watch the show on diamondclub.tv and you've been like, I'm not sure what diamondclub.tv is about, go take our survey. We actually need to know from people who use it and people who don't use it, because maybe you don't use it for a particular reason, and we'd like to know that, or at least the community that is building diamondclub.tv would like to know that. So head over to the survey link at dctv.link/2017. That's dctv.link/2017. We'll have that link in the show notes as well. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We're live Monday through Friday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 20:30 UTC at alphageekradio.com and diamondclub.tv. Our website is dailytechnewsshow.com. We'll be back tomorrow with Scott Johnson. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Scene.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was a blast.
That was really good. We're going to pick a title now, but I know you got to go. So
yeah, there was some. Oh, you guys you're on it with titles. I love it. You guys just have so many of these great titles flash by. And so I'm assuming the exclamation point S is like title options that end up in a doc. Is that right?
Yeah, if you go to showbot.tv, they're all listed there.
Oh, that's awesome. What a cool system.
MS Paint is dead. Long live MS Paint. We had a Paint title yesterday, though.
Yeah.
Google sending out an SOS to the world.
Self-serve security was one that I saw.
Deprecation is history.
Yeah. Android Olestra.
Android, here's the SOS for Paint. May the 772 Z2 force be with you. Recreate your finger. Self-service in the air.
Recreate your finger is pretty good.
Yeah.
Me, myself, and fly.
Oh, that's not bad. I like that one, actually, now that I think about
it. Singapore T Terminal 4 for the antisocial.
The antisocial wing. Self-service in the air. DIY fly. Or DIY fly.
DIY fly. That one's good. I like that.
DIY
fly. Excuse me.
DI fly. Oh, that's good. Yeah, that works.
I'm good with that. Roger, do you have any thoughts?
I'm good with that.
Yeah, I like that.
All right. I'm going to put a space. DI and then FLY. See if it works. That kind of works.
Sometimes when you write it down, you see it differently than you hear it.
Cool. All right, man. Well, I know you got to go, but thanks again.
Yeah, I would love to hang out for the post show, but I gotta get cruising on TNT. But thank you so much for the offer, and thank you, Roger, for setting this all up and everything. It's great talking with you guys.
Thanks.
And thanks to everybody for watching and having me. I love it.
Say hi to Megan for me.
I will. Take care, you guys.
Bye.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
W. Scottus 1 noticed that Roger's using a different mic.
Yes, I am using a different mic. Cool.
Clap, clap, clap. Thank you, Jason Howell. DI fly. So yeah, apparently a bunch of you guys did go fill out the survey yesterday, and we appreciate that. Dark Redeemer said that, it got a nice little boost of people. So if you didn't get a chance, go fill it out at, let me make sure I say it right, dctv.link/2017. Android Olestra. More than 100 so far. That's great.
Let me look at the chat.
Oh, Ethan Kane, I just saw your request. Give me one moment, please. Oh, there we go. I am out. Go for it. Go for post. I finally had a number one. It says Poodle Puncher.
All that punching of poodles.
He's the number one puncher of poodles. I'm just saying. Hey, and the link's in the chat room right now from W. Scott is one. Love to see everybody pulling together. Bum bum ba-da-ba-dum bum bum ba-dum bum ba-ba-dum. Is that what you were singing? Because that's in my head now. Roger?
No, I was just humming.
Was that what you were humming?
No.
Sorry.
Oh no, that's fine. I don't know what you were humming. That's why I like. Doesn't sound like what I was humming.
I was humming the Star Wars thing. What were you humming?
Yeah, I wasn't humming that. I was humming something. I don't know. Just humming.
Done. Thank you, Ethan Kane. It should weird me out that I'm calling you Ethan Kane, but it doesn't. I don't know why.
Tomorrow is Scottis Johnson.
No W. Scottis John. Did you get the Pastebin link?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I think W. Scottis one. July 26th, right?
Yeah. Dark Redeemer says it weirds us all out. Oh, where's Beja been lately? Good question, Wabbit Magic. I should probably have acknowledged that more than once. He is off on holiday because he's European and they take vacations there. So yeah, he's gone pretty much all of July. He'll be back in August. So we should get him back pretty soon. And I'm actually out Thursday and Friday. Probably should mention. I'll mention that on tomorrow's show. But Justin Robert Young hosting on Thursday, and Jen Cutter and Roger Chang hosting on Friday. Who's on with Justin tomorrow?
Paul Spain.
Oh, right, Paul Spain from New Zealand. Awesome.
I sent him a reminder, or I sent Paul Spain a reminder.
I hope it's not too early in the morning for him.
Yeah, I told him. Is it in the early morning or is it like super late? It depends.
I think it's early morning for them. Strike at Rich One wants to know what percentage of people watch live. Very, very tiny percentage. Actually watch live. Yeah, Nuke Jello says don't the Frenchies take August off, but that's our Patrick Beja, you know. He just
he's an iconoclast.
Yeah, he's like always against the grain. It is 9:09 a.m. in Christchurch right now, so it's not crazy early.
That's not crazy.
That's not that bad.
You just have to wake up at 6.
You know, I was thinking Australia because it's 7:09 in Sydney.
It's because it's 3-hour difference, right?
Yeah.
Right? 3 hours? Yeah. How's your winter going down there?
All right. It's the throes of winter. Yeah, man. On my days off, I'm going to a place where it's 115 degrees. That is not winter.
You're a glutton for punishment, Tom.
It's free sauna. Let's walk outside.
So you're gonna be red either way. So bathe generously in sunblock.
Your volume is way low right now. I don't know if you changed something or just leaned farther back.
I just leaned back.
Okay.
So if I keep talking slowly,
that's the only problem. Like with the headset, it stays with you, right? So you get even volume. With that mic, you gotta be on it.
Oh, let me just attach this to the headset so I have it right.
Oh, that won't be awkward. Yeah.
It'll be like a variation on a dog cone.
Just watch that on Friday. Make sure you're at the upper end, because you tend to set your level good and then be lower because you set your level. I do this too, where you set your level leaned in and then you relax and do the show.
Well, yeah, but ideally, I won't be using this.
Oh, you're just gonna use your headset. Yeah, you're right. You're only using that because of the
This
mix.
is all backup.
Yep, this is the backup plan. That mic stand is just not very high either.
Is it adjustable at all? I screwed
think
it in.
so.
but
Yeah, I don't think it adjusts. I think it's just that's the height that it is.
Well, I can't find anything. Hold on. Let me grab a. I don't have any books, actually. No books here. They're still in tubs.
No one has anything to put things on anymore. Sessions.
What happens when you go to a post paper
Yeah.
office? You don't have stacks of printer paper.
Paperless office.
Ethan Kane asked in the chat room, Roger C, is it an ATR2 or a ATR 2100? No, it's a Shure
PG-48.
Yeah, PG-48. He's right. He bought it. He would know.
Well, I didn't buy it recently, as you can tell by the big dent in it.
Oh, all mics, all good mics have a dent in it. It's usually when you club someone who disagrees with you.
Yeah, at a debate.
Why not a mod mic? Asks Undermined in the chat room. What is a mod mic?
It's a mic that wears really skinny ties and drives a Vespa.
Oh, one of those. We use I've seen those. There's a I generally don't like headset mics, but the best one I've used are the country mics. Is that it? Countryman?
Countryman?
Is that it?
The Countryman headsets?
They're
the little thin ones. Is that one?
Those are the best.
That's Countryman. Man, those things are uncomfortable though.
Because uncomfortably expensive.
That
I
too.
used to I have a lav mic around somewhere like.
Oh yeah, that'd be fancy.
But when I moved, I don't know where it went. So it's gonna be in 8 different locations, and honestly,
I have a lav too. That's what I use for the Tech Republic videos, but
I have absolutely no.
We rented Countryman mics for our CNET booths at CES, and they work really well. You're not wrong, but man, are they uncomfortable.
So this is the reason why, like, you can put them really close to the mouth and they won't distort, but they're really good at blocking everything adjacent to it.
Yeah,
has a really
it's true
pattern on it,
and they have good sound. That's the mic that I interviewed Drew Carey with.
Ooh, name drop.
Is that even a name to drop anymore?
I can drop
Drew
names
Carey
as well, Tom. But I won't.
I can't remember if we had him. I don't think we had him on Buzz Out Loud. I think it was just a CNET panel.
It's weird. After shooting a bunch of interviews with like celebrities and semi-important people, unless they're really like famous, like a political leader, it doesn't really faze me. Like it doesn't, like I'm not dismissive. It just doesn't catch my attention. For example, when I was helping Annalisa Savage, where was it? It was with one of our old colleagues, and I was helping them manage all their data for this shoot. And they were interviewing Al Gore, and it's like, oh, that's Al Gore. It's like someone cool, but
well,
I mean, like, it's kind of weird because I had to shoot an interview with 50 Cent, which was the weirdest thing I ever had to do, because I had exactly 1 hour, including the interview, and so I had to get everything set up really quick. I had to look around. I was like, what can I do? What can I do? But he turned out to be great. He was a really nice guy.
You were kidding about dropping names. You're dropping names all over the place.
And then when I worked at the IFC for that one Comic-Con in San Diego Comic-Con 2007, the booth was hosting Henry Rollins, and so I got a picture with him. and I had him sign a glossy for Patrick and Sarah before they had Sheamus.
Nice. Well, General, it's time for us to go. Thanks everybody for watching. We will be back tomorrow. Programming note, after tomorrow, I will not be here until next Monday, but we will have shows. So don't worry.
Yes.
We'll see you then.
And be nice.